Welcome to Red Talk with Reginald D. I'm your host, Reginald D. On today's episode, I have Dr. Stem. Dr. Stem is a native of Zimbabwe who has called USA home for over 30 years. She is a devoted inspirational messenger. She is a speaker, coach, licensed mental health professional, and bounce back catalyst dedicated to empowering others to embrace their potential and resilience. Dr. Stem is also the host of the Dr. Stem Show and Bouncing Back podcast, and the founder of Bounce Back Empowerment Conference, workshops, and the Bounce Back book series. Her mission is to inspire individuals to bounce back stronger each time, overcome challenges, and thrive in their lives. Welcome to the show, Dr. Stem.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here with you, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, first of all, let's start out with the $1,000,000 question. How do you pronounce your name?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So it's pronounced Stembile, which means there are many silent letters in there. So it's Stembile, Stembile, which
Okay.
which means hope. I don't know why they just didn't call me Hope. It would have been easier for everyone, but no, I had to be Stembile.
Yeah, you had to be special, right?
And that's what my parents said. They said, no, it has to be unique where they will remember who you are. And sure enough, people will remember because the name is spelled so differently, but it means hope.
Awesome, awesome. So, Dr. Stem, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up?
Yes, I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, which is in Africa. And I grew up there and came here in 1985. That's when I came to the United States. So I think 2025 makes up about 38 years in the United States. And I came here for school. I came here to go to school. And then I was supposed to just get my college 4-year degree, go back home, make lots of money, get married, and then, stay there. But, as I always say it, God has other plans whilst we're planning that, I want my life like this year. God has already ordained for your life to be a different way. So I found myself being here, getting the bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctorate degree, and I am here as a U.S. citizen now serving from, Orlando, Florida, doing the work that I do now.
Well, that's awesome. So, let me ask you this question. So, what were the key moments in your upbringing in Zimbabwe that shaped you who you are today? Who were like your role models growing up?
That's a very good question. So, to be honest, when I came, here and I was going to school, right, I came to do computer science. And little did I know that, I would be a therapist, which is a mental health therapist that I do now, as well as a motivational speaker. So I didn't know what I didn't know because then growing up, I just wanted to have a good job and go to school because my parents emphasized education is the key. Education is the key if you want to have a good life. So I would look back and say my parents, my mom and dad, were my role models, because of they don't have the degrees, but the hard work that they did and also instilled in us to say, there's 7 of us in the family and said, we are going to give you opportunities that we didn't have because then you have to have an education, in order for you to have, a good grounding, per se. So I grew up seeing them working. My father was a real estate agent and he was selling houses. Mom used to knit sweaters, at home, and she also would grow crops in the field and sell those, the crops, the maize and, mangoes and different things. So they were in business, So as a result, coming here, I just didn't want to have an education. I also knew that in order for me to make it, I have to be in business. And hence now, I have been in my own business for the last 25 years.
I really like that. I mean, you had a vision, you came for one thing, and then sometimes, life shifts sometimes, right?
Yeah,
And you
all the
see,
time.
yeah, then you see like, hey, man, I got to go this direction. So
Yes.
that being said, so what was one of the most significant challenges that you faced when you came to the United States?
Interestingly, one of the challenges that I faced and I see a lot of people facing is self doubt. doubting yourself and doubting your capabilities or the gift that you have. I was, not per se as confident as I am today, because today I can stand my ground and know that I'm good at what I do. I love what I do, and I do make a difference in the work that I do. But I didn't have that. And I mean, I was very aware of my accent. And when I first came to this country, people used to say, well, I mean, can you repeat yourself? And, I can't understand you. You've got an accent. So that made me withdraw and not want to say much, because then I was embarrassed, I was shy, and I was scared to speak up, because then I just believed that people didn't understand me. So then I didn't know what to do or what to say, until one day I joined Toastmasters and the National Speakers Association, because then I realized that if I don't get to learn how to speak, and how to make people understand me, then I'm going to be in this space where I'm scared all the time. So I found out that, what, they teach people how to speak at the National Speakers Association and also Toastmasters. But the very funny thing is, when I first got there, everybody in Toastmasters and National Speakers Association commented on my accent, and they said, "Oh my God, I love your accent. Oh, I love the way you speak." So now I was really confused, because then I was like, wait a minute. A lot of people have said, they don't understand me, they don't get me. And I come here and everyone is like, "Oh, I love that, accent of yours." So that made a big difference, in how I became, a believer of myself, and knew that I had to embrace who I am, and also, I mean, my culture and my values, and the gift that I have. So I think self-belief, would be the one thing that I knew that I needed to work on, and, hence build confidence, to be able to make it.
Yes, because that goes right into the next question. I love that. Because the moment, like in moments in your life when you doubt your path, I think you just hit on it. It's like, what are the things that will pull you through when you're going down a road and you doubt this road that you're going down, or you don't have, like you said, the confidence. I think if you have self confidence, then that will help you get through, the journey or the path that's set for you. And I think that's a lot of things that derails people.
Yes, yes. And the knowledge that, also, you have a podcast, I have a podcast, right? So the one thing that people have to understand is, we might be doing the same thing, but the gift is different. The way that you present it and the way that I present my podcast, two different ways, but ways that are needed by our different audiences, or even the same audiences. So that's one thing that, we have to understand, and remind the people to say, no matter what your gift is or what your desire or dream is, do not give up because of the thought that, oh, so many people are doing it, or, I don't think anybody else needs it, because each one of us has a different gift and a different way of presenting the same work or the same business or the same profession that we might have, to do.
Yes, I like that. I like that. I like the way you put that in perspective, because there's a lot of times when you get a bunch of people and doing, they think the same thing, but it's really not. But it gets so overwhelming sometimes that people be like, "Oh, it's so many." The challenges like the challenge is too big. But at the end of the day, everybody's their own authentic self. Like you said, my way is my way, your way is your way, and it works.
Yes,
So,
yes.
what inspires you to pursue a career as a mental health professional and a confidence coach?
That's a great question. I was working in a nursing home. When I, came here, I found a job in a nursing home where I was working, helping the elderly as a nurse's aide. And to be honest with you, I was going to school for computer science, because when I came in the 80s, everybody was coming from Africa, coming here to do computer science. And my parents sent me here to do computer science. So as I was in the school doing computer science, I also found a part-time job working as a nurse's aide. As I was working, there was, a lady that brought her mother to the nursing home, because she was admitted into the nursing home. And I looked out the window and I just saw this lady that was trying to put her mother in the wheelchair. The mother is fighting, and, they're crying. So I walked outside and I said, "Can I help you?" And the lady said, "Well, you know what? I don't even know what to do with my mom, because she knows that this will be a place for her to stay. We talked about it and now I have to bring her." So she was crying. And I said, "You know what? what, I can help you. So then I pushed the lady, asked her if I can push her in the chair and, introduce myself. And I put them in the room and I said, I work here and I'm here 5 days a week. So I can, literally be asked if they can assign me to you and help you to settle in the nursing home. And to the daughter, I said, I'll call you and also tell you how she's doing. You can, also call and ask for me when I'm on duty and I can have you talk to her. Right. So I didn't know in that sense that I was doing work that she said to me one day, the patient herself, she says, what are you doing in school, by the way? I said, oh, I'm doing computer science. And she said to me, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I said, what am I supposed to be doing? She said, you're a social worker. You should go for social work because social workers do exactly what you did with me when I came in, and you're calling my daughter and you're helping us to transition. So you should be a social worker. And the first thing I said to her, I said, ma'am, I came to America to make money. I didn't come to just help people without getting paid. And she says, why do you say that? I said, because there are social workers in Zimbabwe. They don't get paid a lot of money. They go to the houses and they come in and they say how many children you're supposed to have. And they teach you how to be on birth control. And that's all I've seen them do. But I don't want to do that. And she says, no, there's so much you can do. You can do that. So, I listened to her and pursued, the work that I do now from that recommendation, because she said, you did such a good job, with helping me and talking to me. And I think you would do well, in that. So I did a master's in social work, but I wanted to do more. That's why I went for my doctorate as well. That way, I just don't provide, social work of the door-to-door that I assumed. So I'm now in private practice. I have my own private practice where I provide the mental health counseling for individual families and group work that I do.
Wow, what an awesome story. That's an awesome story. It just
Yeah.
shows how God just orders your path, you know?
And I give glory to him because as you probably have read through my profiles, I am a stern believer and just believe that, Jeremiah 29 verse 11, when God says, I know the plans that I have for you, because many of us walk around and we're so confused as to what am I supposed to be doing? Who am I? What is my passion? So what I encourage people when I work with them or as a speaker is for people to literally be still and allow God to guide them and show them the way. And one way that that happens is in everybody that we meet every day, or people might be listening to this podcast when they come across it. It's for a reason that they come across podcasts, because then many a time you just come across something and God is trying to talk to you, through that podcast or through a posting that has been done, or even in the sermon that you listen to. So I find myself that I always have the spiritual ears open and a spiritual heart open, because I don't know how God is going to relay the messages that I need you to go this way. I need you to redirect you. I need you to serve here. So, like you just mentioned, I give all glory to God, because then that lady was a blessing to me, because I managed to change a career path that I was on at school. Without her telling me that, I wouldn't have known that I was good at, being a therapist or a social worker, because now I'm a glorified social worker. It's still social worker serving people that I do now.
So in your women's ministry, you talked about getting out of your own way and unlocking a path to your success. Can you share a little bit with the audience about that?
Yes, yes. So, the good thing is we started talking about confidence, right? And believing in yourself. When I talk about getting out of your own way, again, I'm talking about the thoughts that we think about and also the beliefs that we have, because many people do not, give themselves a chance. You see, so if you go, for an example, I'll give myself as an example. If you go on my websites, and I have a website where I do digital courses, and I do seminars. I have the bounce back seminars. I have bounce back workshops. I have a radio station that I play gospel music every Sunday. I also have a podcast. So when you look at that, the first thing is, ooh, I don't think I can ever do that. Wow. How does that person do that? But what you have to remember is we all started somewhere, because the minute that you say, "Oh, I don't know if I have it in me to do that, and I don't know if I can do that," you already gotten in your own way. Then that means you've already put a barrier in your mindset that you cannot even break through that, barrier that you put for yourself. So until you say to yourself, if she can do it coming from Africa, she's coming from Zimbabwe, born and raised in Africa, and she comes here in America and she is doing all of this stuff here, then I sure, certainly can do it too. Then that's getting out of your own way, because that's the first step of just believing that if anybody else who was born just like I was born, or who is a child of God, can do it, I can do it too. With that, it opens up now doors, windows of opportunities that you can now take one step at a time. You don't have to walk, you don't have to run, but just one step at a time until you can get to where you want to be.
Yeah, it's all about faith and believing in God and then believing in yourself when it's all said and done. So,
Yeah.
what does success mean to you personally?
That is a good question.
Now, I know you want to come over here and make money. I got that part.
Well, because
but
because yeah, because you know what? Money gives you options. You see, so with the work that I do, I think part of success in making both the money and also making an impact among the people, right? Is I just can't talk to somebody that doesn't have food on their table and can't feed their children and say, "Oh, we gotta talk about you thinking positively and believing in God," when they don't have a way out of just meeting the basic needs. You see. So part of wanting to make money and success means I can talk to people, help them find ways, to make it in life. But also if I have the opportunity to help them financially in the nonprofit, organization, then that's also a way that they can find, assistance, and also working. But to me, success is when I can get somebody from where they are to start seeing the light, to start seeing possibilities, and also start accessing possibilities in their own minds and also in their own lives. So it helps that I'm a foreigner in this country and has been able to tap into many, things in this country, as a foreigner, that I came to go to school and went to school. I didn't have financial aid. I literally went through night school where a 4-year degree, lasted me 8 years because I was paying for each class and going through night school because it was cheaper to go through night school. You see, so when I, work with children that can have access to financial aid and they can apply for assistance, and you are telling me that you can't, go to school, problem with that, because some of us didn't have that, kind of opportunity and help. And you've got all this help and you're wasting this help, because then, there are children in Africa that would die to have, such opportunity. So success is being able to instill those kind of ideas where somebody now is open-minded, right, on the possibilities that they have available to them. I believe we only have one life, and it's up to us. See, God gave us, life until the day that I die and go to meet Him. It's an opportunity for me to show how grateful I am by what I'm doing with my life, by how I am living my life, how I am helping others, how I am also being obedient to His calling and also, His desire. They begin to start to enjoy life, to enjoy being that, best version of themselves, as we say, that they can be, because there's something unique and great in all of us. There's also something unique and great that we can instill in other people by helping them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, can you talk about the mission and the impact of your Bounce Back Empowerment Conference?
Oh, that's my baby right there, sir. Thank you for asking that. So during COVID-19, I live in Orlando, Florida. And I have brothers and sisters that are in Boston, Massachusetts. My mom is in Boston, and I have another brother in Alaska. So I used to, before COVID, and now I started again, but I used to go there and visit mom and visit them, and COVID shut down everything and we couldn't travel. And I tell you, I was scared that we'll probably never get to see each other again because of COVID. So as I was, here in my home, I remember praying to God to say, how can I help? Because being a therapist as well, we had to close down the offices. So then I had to think about the clients that I used to see. Many of them were elderly. So they were not able to, come into Zoom or get on the phones and be able to get on, tele sessions or, video sessions. So then I said, how can I best serve and how can I help? And I remember that one of the things that came to me is, how are we going to bounce back from this? Because we've lost so many, lives, and we also have lost confidence in ourselves of even just being comfortable being around each other with or without masks. We were now scared on there. But the word bounce back kept coming back to me that, we've got to be able to bounce back, because without that, desire or determination to say, I will come out of this no matter what, or I will get back up no matter what, many people would lose their lives because they've lost hope. So to me, bounce back became what my name means, hope, a way to bring hope to the people that we will bounce back. But we've got to build the resilience, the confidence, and also the desire to come back out of this, COVID-19 as per se. So I started the conference, the Bounce Back Empowerment Conference, which we were doing on Zoom. And as I started the conference, I brought in, which I do, now as well, I brought in different speakers that would come in just to give us, an encouragement, empowerment, and inspiration. But as we were talking about bounce back out of the COVID, we realized that many people also had life situations, life instances where they were trying to bounce back from, not only the grief, but divorces and, losing children and losing jobs. So there were many instances where people were trying to figure out how to bounce back. So it became now a movement where we have the seminars, the conference. I even started a bounce back boutique where we have some positive clothing in there just to help people, get back up again and also build the resilience. So this year we're doing number 6, the 6th annual Bounce Back Empowerment Conference, which is going to be in Melbourne, Australia, because then one of the things that was my desire, which I'm so excited that we are getting to do that, is traveling around the world and bringing Bounce Back Empowerment Conference so that we can continue to uplift each other, inspire, and encourage each other to bounce back no matter what.
Wow. Wow. You birthed all that in a pandemic. That's awesome.
So it brought some good in it. It was bad, but then it got us to think outside the box as well.
Yes. Yes, most definitely.
Yes.
So Dr. Stem, you have authored like 50 books, over 50 books. What drives your prolific writing? And how do you choose your topics?
So here's what happened, right? With it's so interesting. When I finished my 4-year degree, I got a job with the Department of Juvenile Justice, and I was doing what they call quality assurance. So I would go into programs that have juveniles in detention centers and residential programs, and I would audit them to make sure that they're being run according to the state standards. So my boss, decided to take my reports and start to, correct them in red pen. And he would put red pen in it and said, this is not correct English and your grammar is not good. You've got running sentences. So I got so frustrated that, I had finished a 4-year degree. I didn't have that much, that many problems with, the way that I wrote. So I said, you know what, let me write a book so that I can see if people will read it and correct it, the way that I'm being corrected here. That's how I started writing the book. So my first book was The Power of Prayer. And I wrote a small book. What I did was I took the serenity prayer and I broke it down, the serenity prayer on, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can change. So it was a way to help myself to think in a different way because I was so frustrated at the way that, this was going. At that point, I didn't know that, yes, even the best of writers, they all have editors that will still edit the good English that they're writing. I didn't realize that because I thought there must be a way that you write good English. But that first book, there was no editing, from an editor or anything. It was just purely, my own writing, testing it out. And it came out really good. A lot of people bought that little book and believed in it, but it also gave me a way to believe in myself. I wrote the next book, which was It's Time to Shift from Fear to Faith, because now I was, always afraid that, somebody is judging me and somebody doesn't like my accent and somebody doesn't. And I said, no, I have to take back the power and shift my mindset. So It's Time to Shift from Fear to Faith was the second one, book that I wrote. So my topics, you will find there are topics that deal with everyday life. There are topics that people can relate to, because it became now a way of me reaching out to the people that also didn't believe in mental health, that didn't believe in talking through, their problems, situations, stresses with someone because people could not relate with therapists or mental health professionals that are in the field. So what I did was if I write a book and they see my face and I get to be in the church and come in as a speaker, or they pick up the book and they read my story, then they can say, wait a minute, I relate with you. And you mean I can sit down with a person like you and really talk about what's on my heart, what's heavy on my heart, and I really can feel relief? And the answer is yes. So now it became, almost like an obsession, right? Of writing book after book, beyond the tears, thriving beyond the tears, and, unstoppable, free and fearless, just so people can build the confidence and everything. But, I'm excited because 3 years ago, I decided, you know what, it's enough. I don't want to write a full book by myself. It takes me a minute to write a full book. So let me give other people opportunities to write the books with me, because there were many people that kept asking me, how do you do it? How do you do it? So now I write anthologies for bounce back anthologies, which are bounce back books, where I take about 20 to 25 authors that I select each year, and they write a chapter towards the books. The first book was bounce back, book, which was, let me see, setbacks. Yeah, we did setbacks to comebacks. Bounce back. Last year we released one that was from dreams to reality, and this year we are writing one that is struggles to success. So again, we are inviting people to come and write one chapter from struggles to success. Again, when you were asking me about success, success has been for those people that wrote in Bounce Back Book 1 and Book 2 that had never written a book. They wrote one chapter, and then I helped them put more chapters into that one chapter, and they also have their own book now based on that one chapter that they submitted. So that's success as well for me that I am celebrating and excited about.
Yes, I love it. I really love it. And I love the fact that when you were writing those books that you came from a place of personal experience. And I think that's the game changer when you're doing something like that. Cause you can relate the book to the person. Then when you see the person or when you hear the person speak and you've read the book, you can put it all together and it comes from a powerful place.
Thank you. Thank you. Because life is happening to all of us. Life is happening to all of us. And as life happens to all of us, it's always good to learn from someone else or to see how God has intervened in somebody else's life so that we can believe and know that He will also intervene in our own life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in your TEDx talk, you talked about you only have one life, live it or lose it. I really love that. I really love. Can you emphasize on that?
Ah, as you probably heard in that TEDx talk, what led me to do my first TEDx talk, which was that one, you only have one life, was I had an experience where I became homeless. and lost my apartment, lost everything that I had, and just didn't know what to do. And I was lost. And it's not even like I was at the beginning of my life. I was right in the midst of, my career, and I was already had a business and everything, but just lost it all, and found myself, without a place, without a job, and just lost, right? So when I now got out of there, the situation, my first job that I found, because I couldn't open a business, I had to find a job first. The first job that I found was working with the homeless. And I realized that the reason why also God had, allowed for me to lose it all and get to that space was also to humble me so that I could work in that, job with an experience of knowing that we are all a paycheck away from being homeless. And, I learned then that it's easy to be in that space if we're really, really not aware of it. That there's only one life that we have to, so we have to live it intentionally. We have to embrace life. And when people talk about being grateful, and gratitude bringing more to us, it really, really is important to me now, after having come out of that, to say I'm grateful of the smallest of things, even just breathing. I mean, having to come here now and be, in this podcast where I will reach people that I've never met, that would not have known about me if you hadn't graciously invited me to be here, which is a great opportunity. So to embrace those things where, to have the lights and the Wi-Fi to be able to do this here, those are things that we take for granted each day. And yet some people do not have those small things that we take for granted. So that's the reason why I did that TED Talk. You only have one life, live it or lose it. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to die and live this life. So nobody lives forever. Why not enjoy it? Why not embrace it? Why not make the most of it and figure out ways to really enjoy this one life that we have?
Yes, and I'll go back on something. I think one of
Yeah.
the biggest, the most impactful things in my life is I had a setback on a job. I got laid off, and I had to go make some money, and I worked for this temp agency, and it was like, "Hey, you go down to the homeless shelter and work there," And I was like, "Okay, I need the money." So, but when I got there, it was like so humbling. It was life changing. I knew that I had aspirations to do in life and things like that. But it's like God just set me there. I met some of the most incredible people. At this point of my life, as well as God has blessed me, I still think about those moments.
Yes.
Because it's something about it. Like say, it just humbles you and it gets you in a place where you can just be humble and then appreciate where you are. I'm glad you shared that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
so Dr. STEM, what upcoming projects or initiatives are you excited about that you have coming up?
Like I mentioned, we're going to Melbourne, Australia this year with the sixth annual Bounce Back Empowerment Conference. And I also happen to be celebrating my 60th birthday this year. So it's going to be double celebrations. So at the Bounce Back Empowerment Conference in Australia on November 8th, we are going to be celebrating the sixth, anniversary of the Bounce Back Conference. We are also going to be celebrating the release of book 3, Bounce Back Book 3, From Struggles to Success, as well as have a party for my 60th birthday. So I'm very excited about those three things that, I'm preparing for that. Right now, we are encouraging people to apply to become, authors for these Struggles to Success, because it will be a big release in Australia.
Well, happy 60th birthday coming up.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
But
It's a big milestone.
yeah, no, that's awesome. So you're going to celebrate yourself in Australia.
Yes, and by the way, information for that for those that are watching that would want to be a part of the, conference or even the book, it's on my website www.drstemi.com.
So where can the audience purchase your books, listen to your podcast, or purchase your services?
You said where can they listen to them?
Yeah, where can they purchase your books, listen to your podcast, or even try to purchase your services?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. So, the podcast, which I'm looking for guests that can come on the podcast, let's talk about bounce back and also some of your setbacks that have become now comebacks or your struggles that have become success. It's called Bouncing Back Podcast with Dr. Stem. It's right on YouTube. Dr. Stem, one word, DRSTM. So, Bouncing Back Podcast with Dr. Stem, one word. It's on YouTube. You'll see many shows there and very inspiring, encouraging interviews that I have done so far. But you too can become a guest. Also, I am on all social media platforms as Dr. STEM, one word, DRSTEMB, encouraged. So people can, follow me in all the social media. I'm always posting something that is encouraging, inspiring, and empowering there. The books are all available on Amazon.com. You can just put in there Dr. STEM, one word, books, and you will see all of them, listed in Amazon and any bookstore that is close to you. I saw them in Walmart the other day. I'm like, whoa, my books are in Walmart. It's anywhere where books are sold, you'll be able to find the books in there as well.
Got it. So I often think about this, and I'm pretty sure you do too. So I'm gonna ask you this question:
Okay.
if you could leave one message or legacy for the next generation, what would it be?
That's a good one. I never think about that. One message. Hmm. I think it will just sum up everything that I have said, right? Where I would say you are unique and you are important. Never devalue yourself or the value that you bring into this world. There are people that need you. There are people that are waiting on you to embrace your gift so that you can encourage, inspire, empower, and help them find their gift as well. And as you embrace your gift and serve using your gift, you will begin to live that one life that we were talking about, that you only have one life, because that's when you will start to now enjoy this one life that you have. So embrace your gift, embrace yourself, know that you are important, you are loved, and there's a reason that you're right here on this earth.
Absolutely, absolutely. With that being said, you've done a lot, though, in your journey here on earth. I know you're doing the work of God with them, walking in His purpose. So when you get to a place where you've done all of this positive stuff that God has set out for you to do and the impact that you've made, when you sit back, what do you feel most grateful for at this point in your life?
And it sounds probably funny because then when I look back, at the work that I have done and that I'm continuing to do, I'm grateful and just humbled that people have allowed me to be a part of their life story. Because whether you work with me as your coach, or you work with me as your therapist, or you have heard me speak in your organization at your conference, and I've been, hired to come and speak there, or you have read any of my books or all of my books, I am so humbled and grateful that I'm allowed to be a part of people's stories because we are here and we all have a life story. So to be able to be there and people can say, it was because of what worked with you and what you said and what we discussed that helped me to move from where I was to here. It is humbling and it just makes my heart just pity patter. I've worked with, teenagers from age 10 years old to 99 years old, from the young to the old, where I have been able to help them maneuver or go through life difficult moments and get to a space or a place where they're comfortable or content about their lives. And I'll tell you one thing that I hear from everyone that I have worked with, and I kept saying to people, which I keep saying today, If I would count how many times I've heard people saying, I hear your voice all the time, I would be a multi-billionaire because people, we work together and they say, all I could do is I can tell you, I hear your voice when I was about to. I heard your voice when I wanted to. So, which means that people are listening and people are open to the work that, I have been doing with them and that I continuously enjoy doing this work with people.
I'll tell you what, you were definitely called for such a time as this. I'll tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you. It is humbling. It is humbling. And, I don't do it alone. And I continue to tell the people that, to God be the glory, because if it wasn't that he also loved me enough to choose to, have me do this work, because it's him doing the work through me. So when people say, oh, you're so good, how did you do this? I said, I'm not. God is good. He's the one that helps me do the work that I do and also helps me to connect with the people that I connect. So not everybody, gets to work with me. There are people that are chosen and that will, be inspired or instilled in them that, you know what, the person that can help you is Dr. Stem. So I need you to call Dr. Stem. And people would say, I went on the website for therapists and I saw all of this, but as soon as I got to your profile, I'm like, I want to work with her. And I said, it's because God has chosen you to work with me. And I don't get to choose my people. My people don't get to choose me, but God connects us because then his will be done. So I'm very confident that the work that I do with the people, because once we meet, it means God has something that he wants to use me to help that person or that couple or that family that I'm working with.
Yes. And lastly, that's right on point. You have a motto that drives your passion and dedication. Probably have a bunch of them, but it's one that you have that say, with God, all things are possible, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I walk by faith and not by sight. I am because God loves me.
Couldn't say it any better. And I have those quotes around me all the time and everywhere. And I tell you, sir, that I am not afraid to fail, because then failure to me, I don't define it the way everybody, defines it. And fear is not defined the way everybody described it, because then what I know for sure is what I'm afraid of is an opportunity for God to continue to work through me and to continue to use me. So when I get afraid, I step back and I allow God to step, forward and step up front and lead me and guide me into, anything and everything that I'm trying to do. When I fall, it's also another way to allow him to, wipe me and, remold me so that I can bounce back. Hence now I am able to say to people, yes, I can be a bounce back coach, because I know for sure that after 28 years in private practice and doing the work that I have done, I know for sure that there are things that I know work and some that won't work, but it's good to have that opportunity to let the people, take that other step of just trusting in God and trusting that, yes, they can bounce back.
There you have it, Dr. Stem. Thank you so much for taking the time to get on the podcast with me today. I really have enjoyed you. So impactful.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in with Real Talk with Reginald D. If you enjoy listening to Real Talk with Reginald D, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. See you next time.